Hey folks, this is Nick, aka Pogo, and today I'm going to be taking you through some of the tracks that I've never really finished, some works in progress, and some of my back catalogue stuff which no one's ever heard before. And I'm going to be showing you all of these tracks inside FL Studio, so you get to see how they've been put together. So without further ado, let's get going. Okie doke. So the first track I'm going to show you is something I whipped together around the time I was making Bangarang. Now this is actually built of sounds from Spielberg's Hook, and so let's go through these sounds and see what we've got. I'm going to start off with the bass line. This is a sound recorded from the film. And then we can introduce this extra chord that I've recorded as well. And some extras. And then we start dropping in the kick drum. And I've also got Smee's noises on the end there, which I just can't get enough of. Alright, and then we can start adding in some extra bits for the percussion. So there we have a section built entirely out of sounds from the film with a bit of reverb to give it some space. Secondly, I've got these little vocals here from the character Maggie, and let's see how these sound. Okay, so let's maybe listen to that with the bass and the chords. And everything together. And I've also got some variations here. The next track I'm going to show you is actually something I put together around the time of Expialidocious. This is also a track using sounds from Mary Poppins, but it's very short and I never ended up doing anything with it. So let's start layering on the drums. These drums are all built up of sounds of Bert, Bert's little one-man band thing going on in the beginning of the film. So here's his kick drum. And then we start putting in a bit of hi-hat there. That's Bert's cymbal. Bit of extra snap. Okay, and then we start layering in some more sounds. And a few trips. Okay, now we have some chords here. Which I've actually recorded from the merry-go-round scene in Mary Poppins. So with Bert's drums we get something like this. Now, what I've done to sort of layer onto that section later on is some extra vocals. We can see each one of these green bars represents a vocal sample of Mary. So I've just created this little structure here. Okay, and then we listen to those on top of each other and it sounds quite nice. So that's it really. Not much in the ways of structure, but let's move on. This is a work in progress of an Aladdin remix which I started once upon a time and never really finished. Let's just start listening to this and we'll slowly start breaking it down into its elements for you to hear. Right, and then the chorus basically repeats like that until we come to this end bit, which I kind of screwed up with. Okay, well, it's actually not that bad. I guess it just doesn't really work for me. It's a lot like the rest of the track. But anyway, so let's kind of go through the elements of this track. What we have here obviously is a chord, which I've filtered. So that kind of just makes way for the vocals on the high end there. We've got a nice percussion loop there. I'm not a big fan of loops, but sometimes it's just a lot easier than having to create some percussion from scratch. And I'll start getting nifty with drums. Again, we've got 2 kick drums. We've got a hi-hat, which I've played around with a lot, using the high-pass filter and picking up the key to be played on. I've mastered this on a pair of studio monitors to try and get the right sound, so a lot of these elements should sound pretty good on most systems. What we come to here is actually a sound that we use from of Jasmine's voice. So let's go over to this pattern here. It's a choir there, same bass line as usual. Chords with the other chords. Here's Jasmine's voice, obviously. So it's very minimalistic. I'd probably want to flesh this out a lot more, but you kind of you can get the idea of where it's going anyway. Finally, we have the genie's voice, and then we dive into the chorus. The chorus, I actually kind of like this chord structure. It's a little different from what I usually do. If we bring out the chords and the bass, I like how it actually goes up on the second half as opposed to going down. It's quite nice. Again, I'd like to flesh these vocals out a bit more because these are a little bit short for my liking. I'm not too sure there's something that I could really sing to, and I don't know if it makes for a very catchy tune. But nonetheless, I think it sounds great. This is something I've actually started work on quite recently. It is actually the beginnings of a remix of AI Artificial Intelligence, which is the Spielberg masterpiece from a number of years ago now, actually. And it is a science fiction that I hold very dear to my heart and probably one of my favorite films of all time. So let's sort of start by listening to one of the main sections and just kind of pick out bits of sounds and kind of lay them on for you. So we'll put the bass in there, and let's start by layering on this section. So we've got a lot of vocals from the film here, which is good.
I like your floor.
This is obviously from the beginning of the film.
How? Come here, Ted. Come here, Ted.
I've actually got 2 versions here. The one is running through Altiverb, which is a convolution plugin I would greatly recommend. And the other one
Come here, Ted.
is just running through a standard reverb. So
Come here, Ted. Come here, Ted.
I've got a slightly different sound, which I think is great. It kind of gives that sound a sort of a multi-dimensional kind of effect, having them place twice through 2 different kind of spaces. I think it's great.
I like your floor.
So what we'll do here is we'll move over to pattern 6. Or will we? No, we'll move over to pattern 3.
Is 50 years a long time?
then move over to pattern 4, where we make greater use of the Blue Fairy's vocals.
We can bring. Go to sleep. No, we can bring. Deal. I can't, Martin. We can bring. I can't, Martin.
The sound design of AI is nothing short of spectacular. I really do think they've outdone themselves. I believe it's Gary Rydstrom's work there, who is just... he's up there with Ben Bird, honestly. It's a fantastic, fantastic sound design. So then we keep going on here. I've got a very kind of mellow sort of section here. But we'll skip forward and get to the little... what we've got here is a little break, which is actually taps. There's a segment where the character Joe, Gigolo Joe, is sort of dancing in the water, so...
What were those words for, Mommy?
Kind of just sliced those and just laid them out effectively. And a little bit of delay on there too. And then we come back to that section. And what I have down here is a section that I'm not too sure works really. End section, which is why I've got the little question mark on the end there. But the reason I'm saying I'm not sure about this is because it makes use of Gigolo Joe imitating the sexual pleasure of a woman, which is funny on its own. So let's just listen to that in isolation.
Oh yes, oh God, oh yes, oh God, oh yes, oh God, oh yes, oh God.
Now, it sounds a bit ridiculous on its own, but when I've laid it against this section here that I've produced, weirdness aside, it actually kind of sounds nice.
Oh yes, oh God, 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 oh yes, oh God.
A few months ago, I actually started work on Cinderella, and I produced a good number of tracks, a good number of kind of prototypes of tracks at least, none of which I ended up really liking or loving. And so this is probably the best thing that I ended up putting together. I've got these chords, so I kind of lay these out like this. Now bass. And I've kind of worked this into a structure. And now I've taken some vocals of Cinderella,
If you keep on beating,
and I've basically just looped that.
if you keep on beating, if you keep on beating, if you keep on beating.
And then we come to a kind of more of a chorusy section where I've started introducing some vocals from other characters in the film.
Good and bad. Good and bad. Good and bad, child. Good and bad, child. It wasn't the dreams, child. There's in your...
So this is a track that I have not yet mastered, so I'm afraid if you're listening to this through speakers or in an echoey room, it's probably going to sound a little messy, but hence the term